Welcome to the Pretty Little Book Nerds podcast. I'm Danielle,
I'm Genevieve.
and we're here with Alicia Thompson,
Hi, thank you for having
author.
me.
Oh, sorry. I already screwed up. Oh my God. Author of Love in the Time of Serial Killers, a contemporary romance, and I have my copy right here. Um, so I love this book. I think I gave it like 5 stars on Goodreads. Um, so how did you get the idea for this book?
It was kind of a marriage of several different things. I wrote it kind of in the height of the pandemic, so it was like the summer of 2020. Um, the title actually came to me very early on, so like the title kind of popped into my head, and I really thought about what would that even mean, like Love in the Time of Serial Killers. And some people are a little disappointed that there's not more actual serial killers in it, but to me, it was more about like love in the time of paranoia or love in the time of like worrying about that kind of thing. I was listening to a lot of true crime podcasts. I was really going back through my true crime era. I kind of come and go on whether I partake in true crime. I was listening to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers had just come out with Punisher, so I was listening to a lot of that. And I was going through a lot of stuff in my house, just trying to like kind of get rid of old papers and, going through like old stuff from high school. And so that nostalgia was also very much a part of it. Uh, so yeah, I kind of all those things combined, and I just had this idea for a book where, she has this nice guy neighbor who seems like he's just cute and a good guy, but that's exactly the kind of guy that you have to worry about because, that was Ted Bundy.
Mhm. So you are into true crime and like the documentaries and podcasts.
Yeah, it comes and goes. I go through phases where like it's all I want to watch or listen to, and then I go through phases where I can't even take it. So it kind of depends. I do love a true crime that's not murder. So like I feel like there's a lot of really good documentaries right now, for example, that are about, catfishing or a white collar crime or that kind
Mhm.
of thing. And that kind of scratches the same itch.
I
Yeah.
got her into, well, I don't know if she's listened to it since, but when we were on a drive somewhere, I had her listen to the Scamanda podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a great one. I don't know if you've checked out that documentary or not, but oh my gosh, that story just drives me insane. So,
Yeah, yeah. Scamanda, Sweet Bobby was one I partook in recently. Bad Blood, in the whole Elizabeth Holmes Theranos thing, like all that stuff. I love that kind of thing.
No, so I didn't get into it, but I was like, we were coming back to my house from Minnesota or something, for a girls' trip, and she was listening to it, but I was like trying to fall asleep because I was crashing. And so I woke up and I was like, so did she do it? Because yeah, I'm not really into the true crime, like, yeah, not the serial killer stuff, but because I get too paranoid and think it's
Yeah,
definitely going to happen to me. But I do like the white collar stuff, and yeah. But she's all over it. She knows like all of
I
these
know.
serial killers and
I have
yeah.
the World Encyclopedia of Serial Killers. It's like a 4 book set
Mhm.
of alphabetized serial killers. So I'm a little insane, but
Yeah, that's all right.
but I do love like how realistic the book is, um, talking about the serial killers and like how paranoid Phoebe is. Um, whenever she like moves into her dad's house, um, and meets Sam and he's doing like all these weird, crazy things. Is there a particular scene or passage that you're proud of in this story?
Um, yeah, I mean, there are several. I'm proud of the story overall, but I think one scene that I think about a lot is the scene where she and her brother go over to Sam's house for this like party that he's throwing, it was just it was a lot of fun to write because it's kind of fun sometimes to write a group scene where there's like a lot of people, a lot of characters. It's just as a writer kind of a challenge for like how are you gonna, kind of have all these different people interact. And there were a lot of things that I felt like that scene cracked open in the book, like a lot of ways that Phoebe was forced to confront a different side of Sam than what she had thought, she was getting from him. And also ways that she really like one moment I think about a lot is there's this moment where she sees him like it turns out it's a retirement party for this teacher that he
Mhm.
works with. And there's this moment where she sees like him like giving somebody a hug and she's like, that looks really nice. Like that looks like a really nice hug. And so this was a very important part for Phoebe where she kind of has to acknowledge like I'm not an island unto myself. I'm not, as self-contained as I like to think I am. She's very prickly and she thinks of herself as like, I don't need people, I don't care. And so that was kind of a key moment for her when she was like, I actually would really, really like that hug. And he looks like he gives very nice hugs.
Yeah, I really like that scene too because it shows like how awkward she is,
Hmm.
and I can relate to like I think she says something about yeah, his teeth because he opened something with his teeth and um yeah, sorry, I don't know where I was going with
No, I mean,
that.
I think that's another reason why I'm proud of that scene is because I always like a scene where I feel like I get some good jokes in. And in that
Mhm.
scene, I have a crawl space joke. So I got that one in. I was very excited
Oh,
about it.
that's right.
And
Yeah.
then I got in the teeth mark evidence from the Ted Bundy trial joke, which again, it's a very niche joke. It's like only in this particular book about this particular topic could I even make this kind of reference. So I was very pleased with myself.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I know this is one of the true crime things that I know of because I did watch um the Charles Manson documentary and stuff. So when she said or when she realized that like the Beach Boys was playing, I
Hmm.
understood that joke.
Yeah. There were
Uh,
some niche jokes. There were several that my editor was kind of like, I don't think anybody will get this. And I had to be like, I frankly don't care. I get it. I think it's hilarious. I want to keep it in. There were a couple I had to really fight for.
yeah, because I feel like if you can identify with like a little part of it or like understand it, I feel like it just makes you love the book even more. Um, do you base your characters on any real people?
Not usually. There are little pieces that kind of come out in different characters or different people sometimes, but there's not usually any one specific inspiration, either for their looks or for like their personality traits. Um, but like for example, like I have a younger brother and he is not Connor in any way. Like he's very different from Connor. Um, we actually don't have a very good relationship. I barely talk to him. But some of that like kind of little brother, just like saying kind of the silly, thing that you're just like, who are you? Why are you even saying this? And that big sister feeling where you're just kind of like annoyed by it, but also kind of endeared by it.
Oh, where did she go?
I definitely put that into the book.
Oh, I think she got disconnected. Um, so she's actually married to my little brother.
Oh yeah.
We're sister-in-laws. So some of it I did identify with. Him and I were 13 years apart. So I did kind of see my little brother as Connor a little bit,
Hmm.
like the goofy part of it, um, and the things that he said. Let's see. Um, oh, I did want to ask about the Nutella pie because I love Nutella pie. So I'm like, is this something in your from your own life, or do you have a recipe?
Um, so I posted it on my Instagram at one point, but I like archive a lot of my posts, so I don't know if it's still on there. But my friend would make a Nutella pie. I am like notoriously incredibly bad in the kitchen at anything. Like even something like literally she gave me the recipe for this pie and it is as simple as it sounds, where it's like you buy the crust, you buy Nutella, you buy like there's only so many things you put in it and it's a very,
Yeah.
very easy pie. And literally she sent me the recipe. I looked at the ingredients, I bought them, and then I got home and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't even know. I don't even remember like the direction that caused me to like go over the edge where it was like mix these two things together and I was like that is beyond me. I don't know what to do. So I've actually never made it myself, but she has made it and it's delicious and it is a very simple pie that anybody else on the planet could make for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna go hunt down this recipe, see if it's on your
Yeah.
Instagram.
I'll see. I'll see if I can dig up the post again.
Um, oh, and then back to like all of the true crime books that Phoebe reads. Have you ever read any of them that you mention in the book?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every book that gets mentioned, I'm pretty sure I've read. I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've read my own book, so I can't promise that. But like In Cold Blood, Helter Skelter, um, I'll Be Gone in the Dark. These were some of the major ones I remember referencing. And yeah, I've read all of those.
Okay, I love that. Yeah. It just gives like I said, when you mentioned like the little tidbits of the connection between like the Beach Boys and Charles Manson, like it just gives a little something extra to the book to love. Um, what
Yeah,
is oh sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say that, yeah, I mean, I've always been fascinated with true crime as a genre, which is kind of why I gave that to Phoebe, where she's not a criminology major. She's not studying crime itself. She is studying
Mm.
the rhetoric around crime. She is studying the way that our culture talks about it. Like how do we put out these documentaries? How do what the fact that we have all these shows, the fact that we have Forensic Files and we have Dateline, and like, what does that say about us as a culture that this is the kind of content that we like? There's a real true crime boom in the past, 5, 10 years, I would say, where there's just
Mhm.
like a ton of content. So many podcasters, YouTubers. I mean, people are putting on their makeup and they're talking about cold cases. Like it's a very interesting niche, and I personally find it fascinating to think about how we talk about it and why we talk about it. Like, why does this resonate with people? And especially, frankly, with like white women. Like, why do white women love true crime so much? Because we fucking do. Like, and I think there are things it says about our culture that are sometimes kind of not great, but I find
Mhm.
it fascinating. So that's why I gave that interest to her, was because sometimes I think I could seriously like go back to school and get my doctorate in true crime. I probably won't, but sometimes I think like it would be a very interesting topic to study.
Yeah. Well, I found like what she was saying about like whenever she would mention what she's writing in her dissertation, I was like, wow, that's impressive. They actually came out with a show, I think it's on Paramount or Peacock or something, and it has um the girl from The Big Bang Theory, and it's
Mm.
about like her and her friends. Have you seen the show?
No, no.
Oh, okay. It's like they live in a suburban town or something, and her like friends get together over wine and talk about true crime, and then her and her husband hire this plumber, so they're convinced he's a serial killer, and he really is. Um, it's kind of goofy, but
It sounds right
it
up my
shows
alley. I should
exactly
I should
like what
definitely
our
check it out.
society is going through, and yeah, it's funny too, but um what is your process of writing? Do you have like characters in mind first or like a situation? And I know I guess like with this book you had kind of the title first and the situation, but is that true for all of your books?
I actually think that generally I have to start with characters. Like even having a title or having a premise, I can't get anywhere with it until I know who the people are. Like I actually think I had the idea for this story like way before I started writing it, but I didn't fully know everything about Sam yet. Like Sam
Mhm.
was a character I had to think about more before. Like I knew Phoebe right away. I had her very clearly. And then I really had to think about him and kind of like what his deal was. And so I think with most of my books, I start with character and like I have to know them very well before I kind of get into it. And then when I write, I'm kind of I don't know, a combination between a plotter and a pantser in a way where I just like to kind of write and see where it takes me, but I do usually know the main milestones. Like I know major scenes and like what's going to happen. Um, so I have at least like some goalposts to kind of hit as I'm writing. But like with this book, uh, with Love in the Time, the story behind it is that there was a contest, like Pitch Wars. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it was this contest where basically you write a book and then you submit your manuscript. It's unfortunately not around anymore, so they closed down the contest. But and then if your book gets chosen by, there's all these like published authors who participate as the mentors. If they choose your book, then they work with you on it and they help you edit it and revise it and get it in really good shape. And then they help you to pitch it to agents and try to get it published. And it was a really cool contest. And honestly, a lot of books that like you've heard of were Pitch Wars books, like came out of that contest. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang was a Pitch Wars book.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure, I mean, a ton. I could name for hours probably. So my friend was entering Pitch Wars, and I had entered it in the past, and I didn't have anything at the time like ready, but I was like, well, I kind of want to do it. So that's why I wrote Love in the Time. I wrote it very quickly. I wrote it in like 2 months,
oh
and
wow.
um, I was just kind of going hard because I was like, I really want a manuscript to submit to this contest, and so I literally like when I entered it, technically the book wasn't even done. Like I was actually like writing the epilogue and I was like writing it like kind of behind the scenes, even though one of the rules of the contest is you're not supposed to enter if you don't have a completed manuscript. I was like, just give me time, and I'll finish it like while I was basically building the plane while I was flying it. And then a couple mentors requested the manuscript, and which I was very excited about. But ultimately, they didn't pick it. So I didn't end up getting chosen to be one of the people, who got to work on my book with somebody. And I remember being really disappointed by that at the time. But several of the mentors were very kind and they reached out individually and said, I really like this book. Frankly, I kind of think it's ready. I don't think you really need to do a ton of work on it. I think you should just start querying it. And I had already been published before and I'd already been through. So like the
Yeah.
world of publishing was not new to me. So it wasn't like my first query letter. Um, and Rachel and Solomon was one of those authors who reached out to me. Sonia Hartle, Annette Christie, like these were authors who all kind of offered to put me in touch with their agents and like try to see if I could get you know, picked up that way. And that's basically how it happened was that I contacted Rachel and Solomon's agent at the time and, sent her the manuscript. And that was basically how I ended up getting, an agent and a book deal and all that kind of stuff. So the process for writing this book was a little different just in that I wrote it pretty fast and I was like really trying to hit this deadline.
Okay. So I saw that you had like a bunch of teen like gymnastics books back
Hmm.
in like 2010, 2012, and stuff. So
Yeah.
is that what got you into writing? Was this pitch competition
No, it
like
was
back into writing?
it was definitely it was what got me back into publishing for sure.
Oh,
But
okay.
I've been that's one of those things about publishing and writing that sometimes I think people don't realize. I definitely didn't realize that until I was kind of there, is I always thought that it was like a train and once you get on the train, you're on it, and like once you've gotten a book deal and you've gotten a book published, like you're on the train, congratulations. Like now it's just going. But the truth is that they can kind of push you off the train at any time. And then it is very difficult sometimes to get back on the train. Um, I could keep going with the train metaphor, but yeah. So basically, I had these books that I had published back in 2009, 2012. The gymnastics series, like you
Mhm.
mentioned. I had another young adult novel, stuff like that. And then I had a period of like 10 years where it wasn't that I wasn't writing; I was writing. Just nobody was buying it. Like publishers weren't picking it up. And I had an agent, and then I let that agent go, and then I had to get a new agent. And I mean, it was a whole thing. Um, so that's the part that sometimes I think when you as a reader are like, oh, my favorite author hasn't published in a while, or oh, I wonder like when she's coming out with a book next. I mean, sometimes, the author's taking a step back or they're focusing on their life or they, whatever, but sometimes it's like they're trying. They're still writing. Like the books are out there. They're just not, for whatever reason, getting put out. That happens.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, and then so I know for this one, you said it only took you like 2 months. That's wow. But do you have like a certain time of day or like how many words you try to write in a day? Um, like for your other books?
Yeah, usually. And
Yes.
it changes. It changes like per book and it changes based on like what's going on in my life and, what my schedule is and stuff. So for example, with Love in the Time, I wrote 9 to 11 at night was like my hour. Um, and so, or, 2 hours technically, but you know what I mean? So I would, work my job and like do dinner and, all the kind of after dinner house stuff. And then from 9 to 11, I would, write. And I usually set word count goals for myself. It kind of depends on how prolific I am and how easily the words are coming. So anywhere
Mhm.
from 1,000 to 2,000 words a day is kind of what I'm, roughly trying to hit. Now that I'm a full-time writer, because I quit my day job, a few years ago, I just try like now I can write more during the day and I can make my word count goal a little higher. That's like the main difference. It's just that I try to get a little bit more done since it is my full-time job.
Oh, cool. What
I want to
was
kind of
your
jump in here.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Well,
I
can I
kind of want
ask
to jump
what
in.
your full-time job was or your day job was?
Yeah, I was a paralegal.
Oh,
Oh,
cool. Okay.
nice.
Sorry, Genevieve.
No, you're good. So I do kind of want to jump in and ask, since you were talking about word count and all that, um, as someone who also enjoys writing but feels very weighed down by the very ominous page count that they like to put at the bottom of writing programs, how do you
Hmm.
not let that get to you? Like, how do you not let the number of pages you've written get to you and kind of just move through that and just focus on the story instead?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's like with every single book, I feel like I do things a little bit differently and I'm always changing stuff up. Like, for example, sometimes I like to see the word count displayed at the bottom. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I turn off the feature and, and I've done that too, where I've like, made something full screen where I can't even see the page count like in the document. I like to type single spaced. It just makes me feel, I don't know, it somehow makes me feel like I'm writing more, like because it's so dense. And when you get through with a page is more like 500 words instead of 250 words. So it just feels like, hell yeah, a page. Like that's a lot. So I do all kinds of tricks like this with myself of like sometimes I'm really focused on word count and I'm really like trying to hit a certain number. Sometimes I'm trying to like put it out of my head completely and just like pretend it doesn't even exist. I love to do timed sprints, so I love to have like writing time that is based on time, not based on word count. So it'll just be like 20, 25 minutes, and sometimes I have like a certain playlist that I listen to of music, and I'll have the playlist be exactly that amount of time, like 20, 25 minutes. So it's kind of like when the music starts, you need to be writing. When the music stops, you can stop. And at that point, like I'll check the word count after and I'll be like, oh man, only 250 in that whole time. That sucks. Or, like I'll have like my reaction to it. But at least while I'm writing, it helps me sometimes to put it out of my head if I'm focused more on just like filling up that time with writing and not focused on the actual output of however many
Yeah.
words are coming out of it.
Do you ever feel a pressure to kind of match your book sizes to other books that are on the shelves?
I don't know if I think about the size or the length that much. I mean, all I feel is pressure. Like all it is pressure all the time. So that part I can definitely relate to. Um, but no, I think the pacing of a book, I think especially if you read a lot, you just kind of start internalizing the pacing of a book and you kind of know almost intuitively like, oh, this part is dragging on too long or I really need to get them to this moment. That's something I do get kind of anxious about sometimes. If there's like a moment, like in my last book that I just published, for example, it's set on a cruise And I kept thinking, it's in my writing notebooks. I keep these writing notebooks as I write. It's like I'm writing it all the time where I'm just like, get them on the boat. Why aren't they on the boat? So sometimes I get a little anxious about, like where my pacing is in the book, or like if they haven't kissed yet, I'm like, when are they going to kiss? When are they going to make out? Um, but as far as length, I don't tend to worry about it too much.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna I don't know because my computer cut out. I'm not sure if Danielle has asked all of the questions that she had about Love in the Time. I know I was gonna definitely ask about Never Been Shipped because I am almost done with that and I am devouring it. So are um
Yeah, my remaining questions are more about like, um, what's your favorite book you've written and like writing about the writing. So go ahead
Mhm.
if you want to talk about Never Been Shipped.
okay.
Don't give any spoilers though, because I haven't read it.
I will try my best, but I feel like I've already been bad about that with you. So even if it's not a book that we're reading together, I am bad about like, oh, this part was really good. Let me text it to Danielle.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I do that like way too much. And I had to do that last week with one of this with like one of the paragraphs of Never Been Shipped. But I I've never been, this is kind of more of just a general question, but I've never been an annotator until this book.
Oh, wow.
Actually, this book like kicked it in for me. It is tabbed up at home. So, do you feel like you're an annotator? Do you feel like annotating, are you more of a pro annotating or anti annotating person?
I mean, I'm definitely pro annotating as far as like I think one thing I think very strongly about books is it is for you to enjoy. It is for you to enjoy the way that you want to enjoy it. So if you want to write in your books, I think you should write in your books. If you want to bend your cover back, I think you should bend your cover back. Like that's how I feel. Like that's your book. Now, if you borrowed my book and you bent the cover back, I'd be pissed at you. But, if it's your book, I think a well-loved book is just very special to me. And I also think like there's really no reason to be that precious about it as an object, unless it's like signed or it's somehow a super limited edition, first edition or something like that. There's really no reason to be super precious about your books. So take them to the beach, write on them, bedazzle them. Like I don't care. I think it's great. I go back and forth on whether I annotate myself or not. Like sometimes I do a lot of underlining while I read, especially nonfiction. I do a lot of, just for reference, a lot of underlining. And then other times I just kind of fall out of the habit and I am just kind of immersed in the reading and I don't have like a pen next to me. So I kind of come and go myself on doing it. But frankly, I would like to do it more because I think it's really cool. I like being able to go back and look at a book that I've read and see like the lines that stood out to me or what I thought about it or I think that's a really cool part of it.
Yeah. So how did you decide to not only make this book about musicians, but then decide on the forced proximity of cruise musicians?
I mean, the short answer is so my favorite band, as everybody knows, practically is Paramore. And there were three Paramore cruises called Parahoy, which I just want to have a moment to appreciate that title. And I was, on every single one of those cruises, of course. And I always thought, even back then, I thought this would be a great story. Like, there's something about this cruise and seeing music like while you're sailing on international waters. I just thought this is like the coolest thing that has ever happened. And so, of course, in my story, it went through a lot of different, there were a lot of different things before it actually became the book that it is now. And so, for example, one thing I did was it's not technically a concert cruise, it's a fandom cruise. So, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the ads for like the Smallville cruise that's been going around. I think it happened back in June. But like that's the thing that they're doing now,
Mhm.
where it's like they put everybody on the boat and they have panels with all your favorite actors and they have trivia and they have little games and costumes and I mean it's a whole experience for like if you love the show then you can go on this cruise and you can have all this, content around the show. So in my mind, the band from Never Been Shipped, Electric O, they performed on the prom episode of this like iconic kind of CW-ish TV show. Like think
Mm.
like Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, Supernatural. It's like that kind of show. Um, and now it's, 13 years later or whatever, and they are being asked to come on the cruise ship to perform at the prom, for this big, like, show reunion cruise. So I just thought that that would be really fun. I just thought that would, be a fun thing to write. And it was.
Did you have any previous knowledge? Because one of the first lines, and I mentioned it to my dad and I both are musicians and play instruments and sing and stuff. And so I mentioned to him the line about the Telecaster being like an elementary guitar, because I knew he would find that funny. Did you have any previous knowledge of musician lingo? I don't want to say lingo because that's not really what I mean, but like musician ideas or thoughts before going into this, or did it require some research and some asking around?
It was definitely a combination of the two. First of all, it was a Squire Telecaster specifically, which is like the student brand guitar. So it's not a Fender, it's a Squire. And I have my
Hmm.
own Squire Telecaster. That's what I play. You can kind of see it in the
Hmm.
background here. So I just am a big fan of the Squire Telecaster. I think for its money, it's like a great guitar. But some of it, like I play a little bit of guitar myself. I love music. Like I've always loved music. So some of the research as far as, just bands and songwriting, and some of it I think came very naturally because it's just stuff that I'm interested in anyway. So I tend to listen to like a lot of podcasts about, how songs are written or watch music documentaries or that kind of thing. Um, and then my husband is a musician and definitely a much more talented, much more prolific musician than I am. He also does a lot of audio recording. He went to school for audio recording. So some of the very technical stuff about like when it gets into like chord progressions or recording techniques or anything like that, I talked to him about, and he gave me a lot of like insight into various stuff like that. And it was honestly one thing that to me was very important in the book itself is that it's like music, it's so creative and it's so collaborative. Like, you're doing it with these other people. And that's part of the whole thing with this band is like it was this beautiful thing that they had, this like friendship and this relationship and this like, creative output. And then until it wasn't, until like it all kind of blew up. And so one of the things that made writing the book really fun was similarly like some of that collaborative creativity. Like my husband and I we'd go to lunch and we just talk about like how would they arrange the song differently if now John is doing the harmonies instead of, it was like it was really fun. It was really fun to talk about, and he really got into it and like gave me all kinds of really good advice, and I have lots of little Easter eggs hidden in the book of little just tiny little things that I knew that like he would enjoy or another musician might enjoy.
Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Um, was was there a kind of moment where you maybe realized something that you wanted to do in terms of the writer situation? I'm trying to word this in a way that it doesn't give anything away for Danielle. Um, um, with the writer situation, because I just got to that big blow up moment.
Hmm.
Um, did you know from the beginning that he was going to kind of be the centerpiece for all things angry and messed up, even though Micah thinks it's all her fault?
Yeah, I did. I mean, and I knew he was always going to be at the center of a lot of like what caused the band breakup and what has and that she's still messed up by. Like she might think she's over some of it, but she's not, which I think is very relatable because honestly, especially if you have a toxic relationship in that age when you're like in your late teens, early 20s, I mean, that stuff can stay with you for a very long time. And then on top of that, all the toxicity of fame and the toxicity of like the attention that she got and like being on that big of a stage at that young of an age. So I always knew that. I did later go back and add in a few like little foreshadowing moments of a certain event that made me very happy. So there are like little things in the beginning of the book where I definitely like went back and like purposefully made them stand out more because I was like, oh, this is really going to hit later when, when everything comes to a head.
Yeah. What was the, like, how did you come up, that's the way to word this, how did you come up with Electric O and the whole Electric Ohio thing? Because I was very curious about that.
Yeah, like the story behind the band name. Well, so the band name was almost one of the most stressful parts because band names are actually really difficult to come up with, I think. Partially because there are so many. Like if you Google any band name you can think of that you are like, oh, that's actually really good, that's perfect, Google it. And it is a real band. And I was trying to avoid even a band like somewhere from, Pawhuska, Oklahoma, and they've got 200 followers on Facebook. I was still trying to avoid any name that had already been taken because I didn't want any like possible association or anything like that. So actually how I came up with Electric O um, is we have a mutual friend, my husband and I, it's one of his friends. He was in a band with this guy. The guy, he's, I think, a brilliant musician. He's still in this band that we go to their shows all the time and stuff. And I texted him to basically be like, okay, you're the person who would know this. If you were a band like 2010s era emo, like give me some names, give me some just give me some ideas. And so he started just spitting out like various ideas for different band names. And Electric O was one that he came up with. And at first I was like, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, that's not right. That's not the one. And but then the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, I actually really like that name for a lot of reasons. And I retroactively kind of came up with the backstory for it. So the backstory is that they went to this like festival when they were kids and they're from Ohio, and that there was this singer who was just like kind of being ridiculously over the top, and he kept saying, "You're electric, Ohio, you're electric, Ohio." And so like it became like an inside joke with them. So I came up with that after the fact. And I came up with that partially because of this one concert I had been to that I kept thinking about, where the lead singer was like just really feeling himself in a way that was honestly very, very funny to me. Like he was just like, you could tell he like had his shirt off and he was just like, yeah, like I'm a rock star. And so I just thought that that was the kind of thing that like young kids who are also, kind of dreaming of being rock stars one day would find funny and make like into a little inside joke. And then I had to give them an exclamation point because I mean, that's just the era
Oh
of,
yeah. Yeah.
2010s emo.
As soon as I saw that, I immediately thought of 303 too,
Right.
where
Yeah.
like with the O and the exclamation. But I heard, I was at a book event recently and I heard this question, and I normally don't care about like the look of the characters in a book. Just that's not the part that I gravitate towards. But for this one, I was very intrigued on how you came up for how they were going to look, especially since they're on the cover. Like, was there, a thing where you searched up like male musicians with dark hair or something? Like, what did you do to kind of get to the point where they look the way they do?
Yeah, I mean, this is almost one of the hardest parts to me, actually. Like whenever I have to give reference photos for the cover or for like if I order any like, pre-order art incentive or anything like that, it's very challenging to me because the way I see my characters in my head, they rarely look exactly like any one person. Like it's not like I'm picturing a specific actor or a specific person in my head when I write them, with only a few exceptions. Sometimes every once in a while that happens, but it's pretty rare. And so I'm always in this position where I'm trying to find almost like a collection of like different pictures that I'm like, okay, he has this kind of hair, but then he would be more like and I'm trying to, kind of give all this different input. For John, I would say I actually was watching a lot of The Expanse while I was writing it. And so there's a character, Holden, James Holden on that show that I think I had in my head a lot. So I saw John as kind of being similar to him, and he's very serious, like his character. So it just kind of fit John. He has dark hair. Um, his hair is not as curly. I definitely imagine a little curlier, but that was the closest I could say. And then for Micah, similarly, I didn't really have any one specific person in mind, but I did actually a lot of searching for like the right uh, reference photo for her hair because it was very important to me that her hair be a kind of a very specific color. And that was probably one of the
Yeah.
things I got like the most insane about on the cover, where if they gave me a cover, like in one version, her hair was like brown. And I think sometimes, I think that artists sometimes are just picking colors that they go together nicely on the cover. And so kind of like with
Mhm.
this like color palette, it looks nice for her hair to be brown. Or technically, if you look at the cover for Love in the Time of Serial Killers, for example, her eyes are blue, and they're not blue in the book; they're brown. But I think if you look at the colors on the cover, it's like black, pink, red, blue, and it's that blue. It's like that highlight, like in her
Hmm.
hair. So
Hmm.
and sometimes I'm okay with that. Like honestly, the blue eyes and the Love in the Time cover, I'll be honest with you, I did not even notice or think about until somebody else brought it up to me. And somebody else on Instagram or something was like, "Why does she have blue eyes when that's not her eye color?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess you're right." I didn't even notice because it just like it looks good on the cover. But with Micah's hair, I got a little insane about it. And I was like, "No, that's not the color. That's not what it would look like." So that was probably the most research I did for her.
So, can we keep talking about covers?
Yeah.
Because they're very, like they all, have the same kinda characteristics or, like, art style. So how did you come up with that? Because I feel like if you released a book without your name, like, we would all be able to tell, like, that's Alicia Thompson," or, like, "That's a copycat," like, "Screw that person," or something. But how did you come up with the art style? Or did you?
Well, I mean, the only part that I will take credit for with the art is that with Love in the Time from the very beginning, I said I really wanted like a vintage pulp kind of cover. Like that so that
Okay.
style of that kind of like slightly comic-y um kind of, because of the Love in the Time of serial killers aspect is kind of trying to harken back to that like vintage pulp fiction type of feel to it. So that's the credit I will give myself. After that, it's almost entirely the artist, who's Jennifer Prince, and she's a genius. And also my publisher, who like hired her, and the art director and stuff like that. Um, she's just very good at what she does. Actually, originally, Love in the Time, it had a different artist and a whole different cover. And
Oh, really?
I'll be yeah, and I'll be honest, I didn't love it. I was not in love with it. But one of the things that you'll find in publishing, and different publishers let you have different input on the cover. Sometimes some authors have a lot of input on their covers. And other times the cover that you see, the author might not even like it. Like and it was just given to them and they had nothing to say about it. I remember my very, very first book I published, the YA novel, they basically gave me the cover and they were like, "Here it is." And I was like, "That is not at all what I was picturing, not at all what I wanted." And they were like, "That's the cover." And sometimes that's just how it works. My publisher, I think in general, and I've heard this from other people too, so not just me, they're pretty collaborative about it. And they do listen to you. They want your input. They take suggestions if you have artists that you have in mind, all that kind of stuff. So it was to my publisher's credit that they were doing all that. But just the cover that we came up with, the first one, I really did not care for.
Mhm.
But the other thing is sometimes you only have so much like clout you can spend on that. Like you can only say so many things. You can get them to tweak things. You could be like, "Oh, what if we tried this?" Or "I don't really know why she's dressed that way. Would it be possible to put her in a different kind of outfit?" Or sometimes you can tweak little things, but it's actually pretty hard for you to just say, "Start over. I want a new cover." Especially if you're a debut author, like you don't have any clout to say that. And they've spent all this money and all this time on like getting your cover together. So I was kind of at that place with the original one where I was like, it's all right. It's okay. I can make my peace with it. It's fine. And then
Mhm.
I remember my editor sent me an email where she said that sales really didn't like my cover and that they wanted to start all over. And she was kind of like, "Oh, bad news. I'm really sorry." But I was thrilled. I was very excited. And she actually said that they were going to use Jennifer Prince, who is an artist that I was already following on Instagram, and I already like really liked her art, so I was very excited by that. Um, so yeah, after that, I mean, I still get to have a lot of input. Like I really like clinch covers, for example. So the fact that my characters are like kissing or embracing or like that they're in some kind of pose together is something that I have always really fought for because I like that kind of cover, and I think that my artist is really good at that kind of cover. But for the most part, I can't take a lot of credit for it. I mean, that's all them.
Oh, okay. I think we're both, like, interested in kind of the background of writing and how things get,
Yeah, for sure.
worked
Yeah.
out, and if you see me, like, looking down, was looking at the Cold World.
Oh yeah,
book cover.
that's actually one of my favorite covers. I love that one.
Yeah, I like it too, and I'm really mad because on his face, there's like a scratch from one of my cats standing on the stack of books that I have by my bed. Yeah, and you could probably hear
Yeah.
them
She
running
gave him a
around.
little scar.
Yeah. Eve, did you have any more questions before we get to like the ending?
The only other thing I was going to ask about was the I guess dedication-ish at the front,
Hmm.
kind of being of never been shipped, being from inside the book
Hmm.
almost. Was that planned, or was it just like, oh, I don't really have anything to write on this dedication page?
No, it was very planned. So the dedication for the book is "If this flops, I swear to God." And the story behind that, I'll try to give you the short version. So as I've already said, I'm a huge Paramore fan. uh, Back in the days when Instagram was just an innocent, fun place where people posted pictures and I just followed my friends and some bands and artists I liked, and it wasn't a toxic place in many ways. But back in the good old days, there used to be this Paramore fan account that I followed that was pretty small, and she would post these pictures. They were, not pictures that she had taken. They were just like, publicity shots of Paramore, and she would always caption them with "If this flops, I swear to God." She captioned like most of the photos that way, and I just thought it was hilarious. Like I loved it. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so funny that like you're preemptively thinking it's going to flop, like that you're preemptively worried that that's going to happen, that you even care about the numbers that this post does when you didn't even take the picture. It's not even like it's of a band. It's not even of you. Like I don't know why. It's just something about that. I thought it was so funny that it became almost like an inside joke, like in my house. So we would say that all the time, like if this flops, I swear to God. And as an author or any creative person, I think you are very familiar with that feeling because you're kind of constantly worried, like, what if this flops? Every time I, you know, post my cover reveal on Instagram, or every time my book comes out, or every time, you do an event and you're wondering if people are going to show up, like, you're kind of constantly confronted with that, like, if this flops, I swear to God, kind of feeling. And there's something I found fun about making a joke out of it, I guess. So I always like to say that the dedication is both like me just being silly and kind of taking the piss a little bit, and also being incredibly serious because like you really don't want your book to flop. So that is how you feel when you put a book out.
Um, so what are you reading right now? Are you reading
Um,
anything?
yeah, I'm always reading something. I'm reading a book, a nonfiction book that I'm actually not going to say because it reveals something about what I'm working on. So I'm reading that,
Um,
and then I just finished The Paris Match by Kate Claiborne. It's her. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that again because I fucked up her name. The Paris Match by Kate Claiborne, and it is coming out in April, I think. And I just love Kate. Like she's one of my favorite authors. It's such a good book. It's incredible. Two people falling in love in Paris over like 5 days, which is very relevant to me because my next book is set in a foreign country and about people falling in love in a very short amount of time. So it hit every single box for me. I'm obsessed with this book. And then I also just finished Canadian Boyfriend by Jenny Holiday on audio because Joshua Jackson narrates the male part on the
oh, I think
audiobook.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I had to listen to
Do you have a release date yet for your new book?
that.
Is it too soon to ask?
No, no, the book it's set in Ireland, and it's coming out on June 16th of next year, which I will say sometimes release dates change, sometimes they move you
Mhm.
around. I really hope I don't get changed because that's Bloomsday, which is very important in James Joyce's Ulysses, and kind of a bit of a holiday in Ireland, and I just think it'd be a really perfect pub date for the book, so I hope it doesn't change.
Yeah.
Do
That's fun.
you Oh, sorry. Do, do you hate that when they know a book is coming out and it goes up on Goodreads? I don't know if all of the like book tracker apps do this, but as an author, does it bug you when a book that hasn't come out yet will have the like release date already like on there on Goodreads, like just for anyone to find, even if like it hasn't been officially announced yet or anything. Like, does that ever bug you?
Well, I will say as an author that my books aren't on Goodreads. I know that sounds crazy, but like they just don't exist on Goodreads. AKA I don't ever look at my own books on Goodreads is what I mean by that. So I can't say about my own books, but no, that doesn't bother me. And if anything, actually, I'm often because I'll like say I'll do a book for like a blurb, and I like to know when the book comes out. I have a whole like spreadsheet that I keep of all the books that I've written a blurb for. So I'm using that function all the time. Like I go over to Goodreads or over to the, retailer site or wherever I can find it, to add it to my little spreadsheet of like when does that book come out, so I can kind of, think about it when the blurb might be out or whatever. So I actually kind of like it. Um, but yeah, I don't know. To me, there's no reason for it to be that secret, so I don't mind it.
Okay. The only thing that bothers me is when people like rate the books that haven't come out yet when they haven't
Yeah,
even received an arc. Like, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yes.
But um,
yeah.
so what is your favorite author?
Ooh. I mean, I have so many. I think in romance, I already told you I'm a huge Kate Claiborne fan. I'm a big Regina Black fan. She's one of my favorites. Um, Rosie Dannon, Ava Wilder, Jen Comfort. Like these are authors who like if they put it out, I'm buying it. I'm reading it immediately. I'm a big Nikki Payne fan. She just came out with a book, Princess and the PI, which I'm very excited about.
Oh yeah.
Um, I actually have it. I'm kind of a psychopath about certain things. I have it in my planner as like my prize for this week. If I do all the things I'm supposed to do, I get to go buy a copy of The Princess and the PI. And I'll be completely honest with you, if I do three-quarters of the things that I'm supposed to do, I will still be buying a copy. If I do if I do the one most important thing that I'm supposed to do, I will still buy myself a copy. But that's my little reward for myself. Yeah, and then Sophie Kinsella is another author I've read a lot of books by, who I always really like. I read a lot of Sally Rooney. Um, Tons, yeah.
Awesome. I'm gonna look up some of these that I haven't read before. So that's all I have. Eve, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good. You answered the questions that I had. Hopefully, I don't have more questions after I finish the
Yeah,
book.
this was awesome.
Yeah, thank
Um,
you for having me.
I was really disappointed, I will say, since we have a few more minutes.
Oh, jeez.
I didn't get to see you at Novel Neighbor in St. Louis. So she lives in St. Louis, and Novel
Okay.
Neighbor is like my favorite bookstore. Um, and when you came in June, because I think I was already down like the weekend
Yeah, you had
before or
been
something.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
hopefully when your book releases.
it's definitely, I mean, it's one of my favorite bookstores. And I will say, like, when I went on the first time I ever went to the Novel Neighbor and like a bunch of other bookstores, it was the one that I was like, if I could move anywhere just for its bookstore, it would be for this one. Like it's such a great bookstore. So I will definitely be back for the next book. I'll be back for every book if they'd have me because I just love it so much.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
live in Chicago and like we don't have any book like we have bookstores obviously, but like nothing like Novel Neighbor at all.
Yeah.
It's either like just
Yeah. I
romance or
mean,
like they sell everything, I guess.
Hmm.
yeah. We got tattoos at Novel Neighbors.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh, wow. That's cool.
It was on
yeah.
like what was it, Romance Day? They had a special party thing.
Yeah, Romance Bookstore Day.
Yeah,
I want
that's
to be
what
a
it
part
was.
of that. Why wasn't I a part of that?
Well, no, they didn't have any authors come though, but they
Oh,
gave
I don't need to come as an author. I just mean like just to come.
oh, just
Like,
come.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
It was a blast,
Yeah,
honestly.
tattoos and books. That's a great combination.
And hair
yeah.
tinsel.
Oh
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Um, all right. So we haven't perfected how to like end our episodes. So I
No,
just want to
we're still
say
working
thank
on
you
that, even
again.
on our solo ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need some kind of
I
like catchphrase, like a stay classy San Diego type catchphrase.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think we just go like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're like, good
I mean,
times, good
that's
chat.
how I prefer to end pretty much any call or party, or I'm a big Irish goodbye fan. If I could not
Yeah.
say goodbye, I would. Like if I could just like hang up and just disappear, I would.